Brilliant, that was quite an amazing historic moment there at Live 8 this year. It's all going great backstage as well. Just bumped into Midge Ure. How you doing, Midge?
I'm all right after, especially after hearing that, which was dreadful. But that's Bob, what can I tell you?
Not a fan then?
No, I'm always a fan. He's fantastic, people like that are few and far between, and we need more of them, to make this planet work.
Absolutely. Now, it's going so well today so far. It's all been a brilliant, event and, another historic moment for the whole Live 8 thing. Do you think it's, does it compare, or can you sort of say how different it is to Live 8?
It's very difficult to try and compare it. Last time round it was 2 concerts tied together. Now it's, 8, 9, 10, whatever it happens to be. It's a much more global thing, and it's not about your money this time. It's about standing up and being counted. My main thing this time round is doing the Edinburgh concert in Murrayfield on the 6th, which is Wednesday. So I'm up there doing that thing. And it's a political thing this time round. It's not about, give us your money. It's about, give us your soul, give us your feelings. If it was your child dying today, of AIDS or malaria or whatever, you would do something about it. But because it's, in Africa, we kind of push it away.
Midge, thanks so much for your time today. Enjoy yourself. Have a good day, won't you?
I'll try.
Brilliant. Thank you, mate. Cheers. Back to you.
Thank you, Midge. Thank you to the lovely Fearne. That was great seeing Bob Geldof on stage back then, and I'm sure none of us would deny that little moment there. And what else can get a crowd going like a song about a spree killer? Eh? For more information about Live 8, you should visit the BBC's website, where you can find full lineup details, where and when you can see and hear it on the BBC, details about the BBC big screen locations around the country, and travel and transport information if you are still heading into Hyde Park, which some of you may well be. The site will also be updated with photos and reports throughout the event. You can also press red on your remote control to see the concerts from around the world and highlights from earlier on today if you like to do that. So there's so many other things so many other ways you can enjoy what's going on. I have George Alagiagh with me, and George, of course, is well known as a BBC journalist. You've just returned from Ghana, I believe. Is that right, George?
Yeah, we went back to the country that I grew up in, Jonathan, from the ages of 6 to 12. That's where I went to school. And one of the things we did in this film was to go back to my old school and talk to the kids there. Now, the reason we did this is one of the things that happens when you look out at a concert like this, we're constantly thinking of Africa as a problem. Of course, there's lots of schools in which things are going on. There's me actually driving up to the school in a car that looks exactly like the car my dad had. And one of the things about this school is that these are normal kids doing normal things, going home and doing normal things when they get there. Look at that playground, for example. And the important thing about it, for me, is that there's a new generation that's ready to take up the opportunity that this is supposed to be giving them. And that's, I think, very important, because
it's very useful as well and very helpful for us to see those sort of images, because I think we're so used to seeing the images which actually are emotive and stirring, people in desperate straits, and to see something like that actually realises there's a great deal of hope, and that by contributing in some way and hopefully the end result today, then
I guess I've done my fair bit of showing one side of Africa.
Yeah, of course.
And I think it's really important to remember that for every defeat somewhere, there's a victory. And I think that's why it's worth doing all the things that people are asking for, because actually you're going to be helping people who are just ready to get out there and start working.
There are now, I believe, somewhere in the region of 2.9 million names on the Live 8 list. People are checking onto the website, which is www.live8live.com, putting their names on the list, which will be given, I believe, to the representatives of the 8 nation states that take part in the G8 summit. That's an incredible number, 2.9 million. There are some people out there who would maintain that it's all well and good trying to achieve this, but there's so much corruption in many of the African countries that would, in theory, benefit from this, that the help won't get through. It won't make the difference that people hope it will. What do you say to that?
I think there's 2 things to be said to that. The first thing is, sure, there are lots of corrupt people out there, but for every person who receives a bribe, who's giving the bribe? So there's something that can be done on our side, if you like. But the other thing is that this money isn't going just to the corrupt people. The money they're talking about is actually going out there trying to build schools and hospitals and so on. It doesn't mean that all the money you give is going to end up in Swiss bank accounts. So I think it is complicated. I don't think we want to pretend and make it look as if next Friday when these guys meet at G8, everything's going to be sorted out. What's important though is there is a new impetus out there, and I think it's as much directed as African governments to get their act together, and they know it. And actually, travelling around Africa as I did last week, they don't need 200,000 people at Hyde Park telling them. They're telling their own leaders that too.
So you think change is happening within any way?
I think there is a new generation out there. We've seen Africa's been through this cycle of coups, of famine, of corruption, of conflict, and there's this new generation, I think, that is absolutely ready for change, and that's why they want things, not so much aid. They don't want the begging bowl. They want trade. They want to be able to produce things and sell them at a fair price, for example.
But that's one of the most interesting things I've heard today, I think. One of the most hopeful things as well, the fact that change is occurring within the country as well as that being imposed from outside. And once again, I know some of the criticism that's been levelled at events such as this and this one as well is that who are we, how involved are we, what do we really know about it, apart from a few stirring images we see on the news?
I think what we've got to do is enable people in Africa to get on with it. And that's not just giving money, because let's remember, Jonathan, Africa has received more aid than any other region in the world, and we're still talking about kids dying every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So it isn't just about giving money. It's a much more complicated issue than that. It's about trade, it's about giving people opportunity, it's about getting off people's backs, and that's, I think, worth remembering.
Although remarkable, though, that a lot of aid has gone that way. I know some of the figures, for example, I believe it's somewhere in the region of half the population in Africa live for less than, I think it's $1, is it $1 a week or $1 a day?
It's $1 a day.
$1 a day.
Yeah, no, and you've got to translate that.
It's US dollar a day, so that's 50p something a day.
I mean, it's a kind of thing we wouldn't even think about, but that's what, sometimes, you talk about a single person, it could be a whole family trying to live like that. And actually giving those people aid sorts them out for 1 day, 1 week, 1 year. What you've actually got to do, and what I think people here, the campaigners, the aid agencies that I've talked to, what they want is to help people get something to do that's going to enable them to earn their own money. Then we could stop having these concerts. And one of the frightening things for me, standing out there, was to think, gosh, 20 years ago, people were doing a similar thing like this. Why are we back here again? And the reason we're back here again is lots of the promises that were made then haven't been delivered on.
One of the things that just occurred to me in an odd sort of ways, of course, it's a great day to be here. It's a lovely day, so we kind of want to see more days like this, but not necessarily for that reason.
For this reason, yeah, and I don't want to be a party pooper. I mean, this is fantastic. I think, my generation had the anti-apartheid struggle and so on. Here are a group of people getting enthusiastic.
It's fantastic. We've got to go back to the concert, George. I'll speak to you more later. Back over to the main stage now.